They don't fear your strength. They don't fear your ambition. They fear one thing only, your ability to see through the illusion they built around you. Because once you see it, once you recognize how much of your life has been shaped by expectations you never agreed to, you stop being manageable. You stop being predictable. You stop being the version of you they can control. That's the moment they panic. And that's exactly why this message won't feel comfortable to hear. You've been conditioned to shrink, to second-guess yourself, to treat your instinct like a threat instead of a warning. They needed you confused so you wouldn't realize how powerful clarity really is. Because the truth is simple. The moment you learn to read people, you stop letting them write your fate. That's why they keep you distracted, overstimulated, and surrounded by noise. It blinds you to what's happening right in front of you. The quiet parts, the subtle shifts, the hidden moves. That's where real power lives. And you're about to step into that territory. Most people never wake up to this. They live their entire lives inside narratives crafted by others. Teachers, parents, bosses, society. They move on rails. They follow scripts. They call it normal. But it's just obedience disguised as stability. And the few who break out? They're labeled difficult, dangerous, arrogant, anything but awake. Because the awakened mind becomes a threat to every system built on compliance. Here's the truth they fear. Once you understand how influence works, you stop giving yours away. You stop offering your energy to people who drain you. You stop explaining yourself to people who don't listen. You stop chasing validation from those who couldn't handle your potential, even if they tried. And the moment you stop playing their game, you start building your own. That's when they lose control. That's when you rise. But don't mistake awakening for aggression. This is not about destroying others. It's about reclaiming yourself. It's about seeing through manipulation without letting it turn you bitter. It's about recognizing motives without absorbing them. It's about stepping into power without losing your humanity. The world doesn't need another loud voice. It needs a sharp one, quiet, precise, and impossible to mislead. You're closer than you think. The fact that you're listening means the shift has already begun. You're starting to notice who drains you and who elevates you. You're starting to sense when someone smiles at you but competes with you in silence. You're beginning to catch micro-expressions, tone changes, inconsistencies that everyone else ignores. That's not paranoia. That's perception, and you're sharpening it. Keep going. Because once you learn to see the truth, you'll never walk blind again. And nothing terrifies them more. They want you to believe that people reveal themselves slowly, that understanding someone takes months or years. That's the illusion. The truth is that most people show you exactly who they are in the first seconds. You were simply trained not to notice. They taught you to dismiss your instincts as overthinking, to excuse red flags as misunderstandings, to trust words over patterns. But once you flip that switch, once you start seeing behavior instead of promises, the entire game changes. And that's exactly what they never wanted you to realize. Because when you look at people with clarity, you stop being impressed by surface confidence. You stop being manipulated by emotional guilt. You stop being softened by their excuses. You begin to see the motives behind the smile, the insecurity behind the arrogance, the calculation behind the kindness. And when you see that, you stop giving your loyalty to people who earned nothing but access. That is the shift they fear the most. Most individuals operate on autopilot. They don't think, they react. They don't observe, they assume. They don't listen, they wait for their turn to speak. And because of this, they walk blind into traps that could have been avoided. But you're learning to watch the room before you enter it. You're learning to read the tension behind the silence. You're learning to understand that what people don't say is far louder than what they do. That level of awareness turns you into someone they can't predict. Notice how people behave when they think you're not paying attention. That's where their real character lives. Notice who talks differently about you when you're not in the room. Notice who gets quieter when you win and louder when you fail. These micro-reactions are the blueprint of truth. They expose alliances, hidden intentions, unspoken resentment. And once you recognize them, you stop placing your trust by default. You start placing it with precision. And here's what they fear most: when you stop reacting emotionally to their tactics. The moment you stop explaining yourself. The moment you stop rushing to fix things. The moment you stop giving them the satisfaction of seeing you triggered. Indifference, calm, controlled indifference, is the weapon they never expect you to master. Because once their emotional hooks fail, they lose their grip completely. People can't manipulate someone who sees what they're doing. They can't mislead someone who listens to tone instead of words. They can't control someone who chooses silence instead of defensiveness. This level of psychological sharpness makes you untouchable in a world built on distraction. You're not becoming colder, you're becoming clearer. And clarity is the one thing they prayed you'd never find. They will try to convince you that you're difficult, irrational, unstable, the moment you stop accepting the role they assigned you. People cling to the version of you that benefits them, not the one that empowers you. The second you start seeing through their tactics, the second you stop responding exactly how they expect, they panic. They don't panic because you changed, they panic because their influence is slipping. And nothing terrifies a manipulator more than losing the comfort of predictability. Watch how fast they rewrite the story when they can't control the ending. Suddenly, you're the cold one, the distant one, the one who doesn't care. But the truth is simple. You finally stopped performing. When you withdraw your energy, they feel it immediately. They'll pretend they don't, but they feel that empty space like a vacuum. That silence you give them is louder than every argument you avoided. They study it, analyze it, try to decode it. Your absence forces them to see their reflection without your emotional support softening the edges. And that reflection is brutal. So they try to pull you back into the old dynamic, not because they value you, but because they value the version of you that kept them comfortable. They want the version that tolerated disrespect, that absorbed their chaos, that apologized first just to keep the peace. But you're done keeping peace that destroys your inner stability. This is where most people slip. They feel the pressure, the guilt, the pushback, and they fold. They let themselves get guilt-tripped right back into the role they escaped. Don't fall for it. Their discomfort is not your responsibility. Their confusion is not your problem. Their fear of losing access to you is not a sign of love. It's a sign of dependency. The moment you give in, the cycle resets. The moment you stand firm, the cycle dies. And here's the part they'll never admit. They respect you more when you stop begging for their validation. They respect you when you stop chasing. They respect you when you become harder to influence, harder to predict, harder to manipulate. But don't confuse your rise with their applause. They won't celebrate your growth, because your growth exposes their stagnation. They won't cheer for your clarity, because your clarity reveals their intentions. You'll notice how quiet they get when you level up, how distant they become when you stop needing them. That's not coincidence, it's survival. They're trying to figure out if the old moves still work, and when they realize they don't, They shift into silence, hoping you come back on your own. Don't. Let them sit in that uncertainty. Let them feel the loss of control. That's how you break the pattern permanently. Say nothing, change everything. They never expect you to stop playing the game. That's why your silence hits like a weapon, sharper than anything you could ever say. People who once read you easily now feel blind. They can't predict your next move, they can't sense your intentions, and that uncertainty eats at them. When someone loses the ability to influence your emotions, they lose the entire foundation of their power over you. That's the moment you become dangerous. Not because you're attacking, but because you're no longer reacting. Your restraint becomes a threat, your calm becomes a mystery, and your distance becomes a lesson they never wanted to learn. Watch the way they shift when they realize they can't pull you back into emotional chaos. They'll test you, provoke you, bait you with situations designed to force a reaction. You'll feel the pressure to explain yourself, to defend yourself, to prove something. That's the trap. Explain nothing. Defend nothing. Just move with a quiet confidence that unsettles every person who thought they had you figured out. When you master that level of composure, you flip the entire power dynamic in your favor. They start adjusting to you. They start monitoring your tone, your presence, your silence. It's not that they suddenly respect you, it's that uncertainty forces them to. Power shifts quietly, and most people only recognize it when it's too late. The truth they fear you'll discover is that detachment exposes everything. When you step back emotionally, you start seeing who actually values you and who merely benefited from you. You start noticing the patterns, the manipulation, the subtle digs disguised as jokes, the selective kindness that only appears when they need you. Detachment is clarity in its purest form. It cuts through the noise, the excuses, the narratives people build to justify their behavior. And once you see the truth, you can't unsee it. You stop romanticizing potential. You stop negotiating your worth. You stop tolerating disrespect disguised as love. That's why they fear your transformation. Not because it makes you colder, but because it makes you independent. Independent minds can't be owned. Independent hearts can't be guilt-tripped back into submission. Independent people don't seek permission. They make decisions. You start acting in your own interest instead of in service to their comfort. You stop trying to save everyone, and you stop explaining your boundaries as if they need approval. They'll call you selfish, distant, arrogant. Let them. People who relied on your weakness will always label your strength as cruelty. This phase is the breaking point, the moment where you either shrink back into your old self or step fully into your power. And remember this. The moment they realize you're not coming back as the version they controlled, they'll try to rewrite the story. Stay silent. Stay strategic. Let them reveal themselves. The truth always shows when your presence stops carrying them. They don't fear your strength. They fear your awareness. Because once you understand how people operate, you stop giving them the reactions they rely on to feel powerful. You start noticing the micro-expressions, the hesitation in their voice, the way they shift their stories depending on who's listening. You see the insecurity behind the arrogance, the desperation behind the confidence, the fear behind the anger. And once you see it, their entire facade collapses. People who hide behind manipulation hate nothing more than someone who finally understands the script. You'll notice how predictable they actually are. The person who pretends they don't care is always the most invested. The one who talks the loudest usually has the weakest foundation. The one who gossips about everyone else is terrified of being exposed. Patterns repeat because most people never evolve. They just change tactics. But when your mind sharpens and your emotional discipline locks in, you become immune to the performances. You stop falling for charm. You stop getting hooked by pity. You stop believing promises made in moments of guilt. You stop being impressed by noise, and that's where the fear begins. When they sense that they no longer influence your world, they cling harder. Some will try to overwhelm you with attention, hoping to regain access. Others will distance themselves to make you chase again. And the most fragile of them all will suddenly turn cold, hoping to trigger old wounds. None of these moves work on someone who has awakened. You don't chase. You don't negotiate. You don't collapse into old habits. You simply observe. And observation alone exposes the truth far faster than confrontation ever could. The truth they fear you'll discover is that your power never came from being liked, needed, or understood. Your power comes from the ability to walk away, to cut the emotional cord, to choose yourself with zero guilt. Walking away is the purest form of dominance because it shows you were never attached to the illusion. Most people build their identity on external validation, so the moment you detach, they lose the version of themselves they projected onto you. That's why your independence feels threatening. It forces them to face who they are without the reflection you once provided. You don't owe anyone your energy. You don't owe anyone your explanations, and you definitely don't owe anyone access to the parts of you they tried to exploit. Your silence is not weakness, it's strategy. Your distance is not coldness, it's preservation. Your detachment is not cruelty, it's clarity. Keep your moves quiet. Keep your emotions contained. Keep your intentions invisible. Power grows in the shadows, and the less they know, the more they fear. When they realize you've stepped into this level of control, they'll accuse you of changing. They're right. You changed because you finally saw the truth, and once you see it, you never go back. They fear the moment you stop reacting. Because when your emotions go silent, their influence dies. They can't lure you with attention, guilt, pity, or chaos anymore. They can't pull you into their cycles because you no longer move on impulse. You move on intention, and intention is the one thing manipulators can't predict. You become unreadable, untouchable, uncontrollable. They feel it instantly even if you don't say a word. Your calm puts pressure on their insecurity. Your distance exposes their dependence. Your silence forces them to confront their own emptiness. And that's the truth they're terrified you'll discover. They needed you far more than you ever needed them. Most people want you predictable. They want to know where to push, when to provoke, how to get a reaction out of you. But when you reclaim your inner space, that map disappears. You stop giving them emotional shortcuts. You stop giving them leverage points. You stop giving them a version of you they can bend. Now you move with precision. You think 3 steps ahead. You don't chase explanations or closure. You create your own. You don't wait for respect. You enforce it. And when someone shows you who they are, you don't rewrite the truth to comfort yourself. You accept it, and you move on with a cold, clean mind. That's when your presence shifts from available to rare. Your time becomes a privilege. Your energy becomes valuable. Your standards become undeniable. And people feel that scarcity. They sense that access to you is no longer guaranteed. And suddenly, they start performing the honesty they should have shown from the start. But this time, you're not fooled. Because the truth already lives in your awareness. And awareness is something no one can take from you once it's awakened. You understand now that real power is invisible. It doesn't shout. It doesn't chase. It doesn't explain. Real power observes, decides, and exits when necessary. It's the kind of power that reshapes your world without announcing itself. The kind that makes people think twice before crossing you. The kind that builds an inner kingdom no one can invade. They fear you'll discover this strength because once you do, you can't be manipulated, controlled, or dimmed. You become your own authority. And the moment you step into that identity, every illusion they built around you collapses. So hold your silence. Guard your presence. Walk with the calm of someone who knows exactly what they bring to the table. Let them wonder. Let them scramble. Let them feel the absence they created. Because when you stop giving them the version of you they depended on, they're forced to meet the version of themselves they've been running from. And if you're still here, still listening, still becoming sharper with every word, you're already ahead of most people. If you want more breakdowns like this, more psychological clarity, more power over your own story, drop a like, leave a comment, and subscribe.